Good morning. It's such a beautiful, beautiful day. This is Robbie from Southern California, and this is just going to be a simple morning vlog. It's kind of late morning already, I think, because there's things that people have asked, a lot of you have asked, and I want to answer some of your questions and tell you, don't do what I do because I've made terrible, terrible mistakes. Well, so we'll talk about a few different things. I'll keep this short because I want to get back to work. I'm so excited. And I know you probably have a lot to do, especially on such a beautiful day. But if you're back east, I know you're under snow and I feel for you. Stay warm. Spring will be here for you, the warmer days before you know it. Okay, you know my driveway, these totes. These are about 30-gallon totes. This is also Sterilite and different companies. They're not all Sterilite. Rubbermaid, there's an HDX or something. There are different ones I've picked up at the thrift store. Let's talk about totes real quick because so many of you are getting totes. The blue one, the gray one or tan one, there's a gray one. Okay, these are the thinner, lightweight totes. They will last for many, many years. I have some in my bird garden that are about 5 years old now, if you respect them. Number one, I have to make sure there's soil in there, even in the winter when everything dies back, the plant's there. I keep the soil wet and water it once a week, just so there's soil in there, so if there's any dampness, it will go up into the plastic and keep it damp, kind of like putting face cream on you or hand cream on you. You want to make sure that it's not empty. So it's not being 100% circulation of air that's dry that could dry out the plastic. Treat the plastic as you would treat your own skin. Okay, number one on those. As long as you treat it good, you'll have it for many, many years. Now, if I go to move any of these, let's talk about that. I will not be grabbing it by the edge, especially if it's been out here a couple years, and drag it. I would not do that. It is a thinner plastic. It's been out in the elements. And what I would do is like what I do. I would empty it, at least 3/4, if not a little more. Then I will lift it, or maybe at that point drag it, as long as the plastic is nice and flexible, and put it where I want. That is respecting it. You respect these totes, and that is not a Rubbermaid. That's another company, and I don't know the name of it because there's no tag. Respect it, and they will go for many years. They will give you a lot of growing seasons in there. Okay, now these, I believe, yes, they're Sterilite. The label is still on there. These are bigger. I think these are 27-gallon. The big ones are kind of different. Like those are 18, and then they've got 17 and 27, I think it is. Doesn't matter. You can go smaller. I've grown in 8-gallon ones. Those are a heavy-duty industrial totes. Now keep in mind, some of you have bought those. Those lids are also heavy-duty because it's designed to put the lid on and then stack them all the way up as far as you want in a garage or wherever. And this way you can store your stuff for many, many years. You can't cut those lids by hand, maybe on a table saw. I use those lids for maybe shading things. I don't bother even trying to cut them. The lighter weight ones, you can cut them with a knife. I would start the hole with a soldering iron to make some sort of little hole, and then you can cut it with a knife all the way around very carefully. I've shown you how to do it, or a scissors. These you cannot cut, but you can abuse these, and we have. I've got some that are probably over 5 years old, and they even got them from somebody else that had them. You can drag those. I mean, they'll be heavy, 27 gallons of soil. Well, it won't be 27 because they're never all the way to the top. But the point is, they will be heavy. But you can drag those. You can throw them on a cart and move them around. You can throw them on a hand cart and move them around. Those, let me tell you, I've had some in my bird garden when I started over 5 years ago that have never cracked at all. Look at them. These are, well, these aren't too old. These are about 3 years old, I think, but they don't crack. They're really strong. I have never had one crack. I'm not saying they won't, but they don't crack. And that's what probably the plastic raised beds are making some of them out of plastic, is probably that heavy duty, thicker plastic. Now, black is perfect. Don't worry about it. The soil's not going to get hot. You'll dig in it. You'll find earthworms. Think of the nurseries. Almost all their pots for their plants are black. They reflect the light and soak in the light, but they don't, you know what? That's probably what it is. The sun makes it hot, but what it's doing is it's not drying out. It makes it soft, so they last. And that's probably why nurseries do all of theirs in black as well. I've seen some color coded ones, but when they have a good color to them, they really last. So these black ones that are heavy duty are perfect if you want them to last for many years. And keep in mind, we can't do art projects or garden projects with the lids unless you want to cut them out with a table saw or something. Those you can. These, again, I would empty them. I don't know what's in here. Oh, look how far down it dropped. I would empty them and move them. And if they're not too heavy, yes, you can lift them. Don't abuse them. That's number one. And that goes for all of these because these are also lightweight. And it's the same thing. You wouldn't want to pull them. I have moved these around. These were not here. What I did was I took most of the soil out, moved them to where I wanted, and then put the soil back. And of course, I replenished it with leaves and branches and wood and anything I could find to save money on soil. So those lightweight ones, keep that in mind. Now clear ones, some of you are running out and buying clear ones, you told me. Let me tell you something. The clear ones, they don't last that long. Please keep that in mind. They do not last that long. Think of a water bottle, milk, a gallon milk container. You put that out in the sun in a matter of months. When you grab it, it shatters. So I don't grow in clear. Now, is it a loss? No, you can. But the moment you see it start to go, get rid of it because it will literally crumble into the ground. And I'll show you the difference on these that don't crumble into the ground. See the stacked ones? Those black ones will last for years. And they're so strong, you can put a tote on top like I did there. Now here is my disaster. Look at my broken tote. Now, I did not buy that blue one from the store, so it's not one that I've just had for the past couple years. I got it at the thrift store, probably out of the trash. I got a whole bunch once out of the trash, but the thing was, do as I say and not as I do. Let me show you. That's got a little bit of soil, so this one is doing okay. That's got some soil in it. This one did not. I told you, look at, I've told you over and over, don't leave them empty. Why didn't you tell me? Say, Robbie, go watch your video. What the heck are you doing? I left it empty. Not only did I leave it empty for this year and all winter, I didn't put anything in it last year. So it sat there in the beautiful warm sun, against a nice hot wall. I mean, how much abuse can I give it? I will probably, who knows what I'm going to do with it. I don't think I'm going to try to tape this one, but here's another thing I want to show you. Let me zoom out a little bit. See what happened to this one when I went to move it? See how it broke? This could easily be thrown now in the recycle bin, but see how it broke? That's what these colored totes do. If they are left out in the sun and if they break, you'll see it. It will just do a clean break. It actually broke and like a score right along the seam there. See the seam? See there? It came apart there. Actually, I could trim this down and still use it. But the thing is, they don't shatter. They don't fall apart in your yard. They could easily be trimmed down. I think I will trim that one down now that I'm showing you. I was thinking of just recycling it, but I think this will come apart quite nicely, see? And I can have a short one somewhere. The nice thing about those is when they do go, and if you don't take care of them and they do crack, they don't crumble to pieces, all right? But again, you don't want to leave them empty. I've left too many of these empty, and this is my fault. Okay, now let's look at my box garden. I am actually excited about the box garden. It's doing really well, and it's just been set up. I actually just finished it. I topped it to the rim. So this way, no critters will get underneath. It will settle down. But I wanted to make sure there was enough, whatever matter I was putting in there, to the rim. See, so now the rim is underneath. And that will decay. This is an interesting way of growing as long as you understand that it's only going to last you spring, summer, and maybe in the fall. Next year, it will not be here. Now you could do a couple different things. You could just go ahead and add some fresh matter, leaves and stuff right here and grow in the ground, which I cannot because of all the trees. The tree roots just destroy everything. Or you could use next spring is what I plan on doing, is raking that all up. All the boxes will crumble away, and that will be my new soil. So I'm really happy with it, so happy that I'm going to make sure this box garden goes from there to here. So my box garden now is going to be extended where that little white fence is. That's a good topic right there. There's the little white fence. Where did you get the little white fence? And why do you have the little white fence around it? This little white fence is racks that I think came out of some refrigerators. Gary found it, somebody threw it away, and he brought them home, and they sat and they sat. So he's even got a piece of wire over there. And he said, well, what do I do with it? And then he said, you know, I'm going to put it around here. He built these wooden things, these wooden beds. The wood falls apart. See how the wood falls apart? It falls apart. So he stuck it here to keep the rabbits out. And he also put it where it's up and down because things can't climb. If he would have had it turn the other way, you make a ladder and some things could easily climb over it. But when bars are up and down, they cannot climb. So it kept the rabbits out. Squirrels, no. Any other rodents, no. And even if the rabbit wanted to, they could hop over. But they've got all this. So most critters would come by and say, well, why should I bother? And they have never bothered. So they don't go there. And that's basically it. That was really the only thing I wanted to talk about. Here, I've got my garden. I'm getting ready, the wall garden, to start planting. I've got an old squash from last year. I want to pull it out, but it's getting squash on it. But because I'm not doing anything, look at that, right there. Because I'm not ready to start planting in there yet, I'm not going to pull it out yet. And then underneath, I've got some geraniums growing where the water drips. I'm not going to catch this water. I'm going to let it go straight into the ground. Some of these are just seeds that came up from last year that were in there. They're going to be a hybrid of some sort. I've got a zucchini in there as not doing good, which is interesting. I had a package of seeds, about 4-year-old seeds, planted them all, and only one grew. Brought it out here. I even put a little old flag I had on top to shade it, and it's just not doing good, but it's got a lot of new growth. So I'm going to leave it right now. It is a true zucchini. It's a package of seeds I got from the 99-cent store. Like I said, when you kind of alarm bells when only one seed makes it. And I mean, it says Black Beauty, but different makes and companies, you don't know what they are. And some of these seeds are being tampered with. You can't save the seeds and get a true plant back the following year, even if you hand pollinate it. So I don't know what's going on with that, but that's basically it. So being that it's so warm, I'm almost thinking of doing watermelon here. And boy, do I have a story for you on watermelon. Oh my gosh, I went to the nursery. I'll do the full story on that. And they had the pots, little single pots. One of them had a ton of them in there. No joke, a ton of watermelons growing. And I looked at it and I analyzed it. Baby seedlings want to grow. They are the easiest plants to transplant. Give it a little growth where it's got the main leaves on it. At that point, it's acclimated to whatever you've done to it or wherever it's been growing, and they're hard to transplant. But baby seedlings, oh, you could almost tear off all their roots and they'll still grow because they are so anxious to grow. They haven't acclimated to anything. They're just in plain, bland soil, and all they do is want to take off. So I did. I bought it, and to my surprise, let me get that video up and show you how many were in there. And I didn't run to do it because I wanted to make sure it worked, and they are growing like mad. Now the problem is, where am I going to put all of them? There were so many watermelons, so I'll put some in here. I grew one there. A couple years ago. Did not plant watermelon in here last year. And I'm thinking of putting it against the wall because watermelon likes the soil. Well, I shouldn't say the soil. They like the nights to be in the 70s. It's going to be a while till we're in the 70s. And they like it warm. So we'll see where I'm going to put it. Gary's going to take some. But I'll show you a peek as to how many were in there. And we'll get into details. How I separated them. How I did it. How I almost killed them the next day. Out of love. It was an accident. Wasn't thinking. And now how they're doing. And I think I'm going to go back to the nursery and take a peek to see what else they've got, because this was quite exciting. Another thing is I bought a tomato plant and it was broke. When I got home, I noticed it wasn't doing good. And it didn't happen coming home, so there must have been a damage I didn't see. Snap that off, and in 3 days I've got it rooted. So now I'm going to have 2 of those tomato plants. Keep that in mind. We'll go over all that. And if I keep it all winter in the house, comes winter, I can just replant it out in the spring and keep the special tomato plant growing, be it sun gold, hundreds, whatever it is. So I hope I've given you an idea on how to grow things. Check out your nursery. And if you're going to the nursery when your time is ready, you'll see how I separated them. I'll get that video together, and maybe you'll end up with not 1 plant, but over a dozen. With that, have a wonderful, wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. And the reason I forgot to tell you why I put the box garden here is because I hadn't had time to plant anything here. That was the big thing. I just didn't have time last year, so I didn't do anything. And I figured I would do the boxes here since I had nothing here already. And if the boxes fell apart and ended up all over, the little fence that Gary put up would keep it in check where I want it. And come next spring, I can start shoveling this up and not have to worry about a big mess. I'll know exactly where the cardboard all is.